this Monday, July 21st, 2025. If you would be so kind to stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The following is an excerpt from a prayer by Reverend J. McJilton given on the 4th of July, 1848, in the consecration of the Washington Monument. Direct us, O Lord, in all our doings with the most gracious favor, and further us with thy continued help. While we acknowledge thee to be the Lord our God, and offer thee the services of our lips, may our hearts be devoted to thee, that we may bring forth the fruits of holiness in our lives, and show by our deed that we are faithful servants. Be pleased to perpetuate our free government and continue its blessings to mankind. In your most holy and gracious name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. You have the agenda in front of you, and I do have an additional item to add to the agenda. Just to note, it's not on the agenda, but you do have the state of emergency in your presence from Governor Stein regarding the storm that we had, the tropical storm rain and flooding that we had from the recent Chantal. Also, you have change to the resolution in letter V of surplus property. The resolution is in front of you. We have an upset bid of $3,000. And I have an ask to move the new business, item 6C, the purchase of 8 Ford Explorers, to the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Do you want to add for the Sheriff Department, not that we're just purchasing 6 Ford Explorers?
No, I took the item, I'm sorry. I'm not understanding your question.
No, I was just saying, do you want to add just so the public could hear, the 6C was the purchase of 8 2026 Ford Explorer patrol vehicles for the Sheriff's Department, not the county government use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the Ford Explorers for the Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, so moving that to the consent agenda, that'll be item 2AA. Any additional agenda items other than those? Do I have a motion to approve the additional agenda items?
So moved.
Motion been made to approve the additional agenda items. Moving to new business, item 6C, and a note to the change the resolution in the surplus property in the consent agenda 2.5. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion's been made to approve the consent agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on, we have a public hearing, recommendation by the Lee County Transportation Committee on the ranking of Lee County transportation projects to submit to the Central Pines Planning Organization, Rural Transportation Coordinating Committee. And David Montgomery is here, sir.
Yes, Chairman Smith and Lee County Board of Commissioners. We're at that time again, a 2-year process of submitting projects to NCDOT for scoring and hopefully placement on the State Transportation Improvement Program, better known as STIP. All 100 counties submit projects either through a Metropolitan Planning Organization, an MPO, or a Rural Planning Organization, or RPO. And we happen to be in the Central Pines RPO, which serves all of Lee County and portions of Moore, Orange, and Chatham counties. Projects with high enough scores would be then placed on the 2028-2037 STIP with construction planned during that period. Lee County, this year, Lee County and its municipalities are only submitting projects in 4 transportation modes: aviation, highway, bike and ped, and rail. Also, the RPO has requested that each county develop a prioritized ranking of a guaranteed 3 projects in those respective 4 modes. The Lee County Transportation Committee, better known as the LCTC, met on May 12th, 2025 to determine a ranking of those projects. If you recall, the LCTC is composed of membership from all the 3 governing boards: SAGA, the Jetport, and Colts. In the aviation category, those projects were submitted by the Raleigh Executive Jetport Director. Their number 1 ranked project is a control tower. As you may recall, the Jetport was recently approved by the Federal Aviation Administration for its contract tower program. Number 2 was a reconstruction of the T-hangar taxi lanes. And number 3 was construction of a corporate hangar apron expansion project. There is a high likelihood that the remainder of the projects that I provided for you, at least for aviation, will get submitted because not every county will submit aviation projects. In the highway category, the LCTC ranked the Colon Road widening and extension from US 1 to US 1551 as number 1. The CCEP and Galvin's Ridge are located here, and this will continue to be a high priority for future economic development and residential growth. Number 2 was the intersection of Highway 87 and Traceway in front of Carolina Trace. This intersection has seen significant high-impact crashes over the years, and the project should improve safety in front of there with a super street. Number 3 ranked project is the Commerce Drive modernization and extension. This is a high priority for the city for emergency response purposes. In the bike and ped category, the construction of sidewalks along Bragg Street was number 1. A sidewalk here would compete a pedestrian route from Lee County Temple Park all the way to the new Lee County Library, and would include a Dollar General, Bragg Street Academy, OT Sloan, and Lee County High School. The LCTC ranked the 7th Street sidewalk project as number 2. Currently, there are no sidewalks along 7th Street except in front of Temple Park. It also has 2 convenience stores along the route, and it would also tie into Bragg Street. Number 3 in the bike ped projects is Little Buffalo Creek Greenway. Would be our 3rd priority for bike and ped. Part of the Sanford Central Green, the Greenway would link downtown, starting the new Sanford Ag Marketplace to Sanford City Hall, expand walkability for the community, and be part of this area's redevelopment. Under rail, the LCTC ranked the final design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction of a mobility hub in downtown as a number 1 project. As you probably are well aware, we've been working on this for the last couple of years. It's a mobility hub is a place where different travel options come together, which for us would include rail service, Colts paratransit service, and the new microtransit program. The remaining projects under rail were actually submitted by the NCDOT, and we just ranked ours based upon how they scored the last time. Moving forward, a group of staff from the RPO will narrow down the list to 14 projects for all 4 counties combined in each mode to submit for scoring. That subcommittee then will submit a draft list of the 14 projects in each mode to the Central Pines RPO Coordinating Committee for adoption on August 14th, 2025. Scoring will be done probably spring of next year, with the draft released in the winter of 2027, with the adoption by the board in the summer of 2027. And I'll pause there if you have any questions.
Questions for David, please. Commissioners Martin?
No.
Commissioner Lovick?
Thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
think we discussed it maybe last year, but are they gonna do some traffic counts coming on down Tramway Road into Jonesboro?
I can certainly check on that for you. They do traffic counts on a pretty regular basis, so I can find out when the latest was done for that, and then get that back to you. If it's not been done in the last couple of years, we can certainly make that a request.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck.
Do you have when they do traffic counts, do they pick a certain time frame when they do the traffic counts? Like in the day, or do they just sit all day?
It sits for several days.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Would you mind just kind of explaining on it's an orange column in our thing, the division needs quantitative score out of 50, like how that comes about?
So there's basically three buckets for projects. The blue is statewide, so it's probably likely going to be an interstate or something of that nature. Regional is a project that has a regional scope, and then the red or orange is more of a division, kind of a local type project. So those that have a number are projects that have been scored in the past through this process.
Okay. And the process is, sorry.
That's okay. So the process is every 2 years, every county submits projects through their respective MPO or RPO. And there's a quantitative score that DOT does. And there's a qualitative score that we can put points on projects on the back end.
Okay. And it's based on like factors on what the
So,
board sees?
so
or?
the amount of traffic, fatalities,
Okay,
those sorts of things.
okay.
Yep.
I think that was it. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Reeves? I'm good, thank you. Commissioner Sharp?
I don't have any.
Okay. Before I open the public hearing, I do need to ask, is there any board member that has any conflict of interest or stand to financially gain from any transportation project that is being potentially listed here? Seeing none, I wish to open the public hearing on the Lee County Transportation Committee recommended ranking of transportation projects. Public hearing is now open. If you wish to speak on behalf, please come forward, state your name as well as your address.
Good evening, Commissioners. David Smoke, 96 Northridge Trail, Sanford. I am here to speak about the transportation projects. I appreciate the work that I believe the chairman had with getting the highway project that was just mentioned, the second one on the list, H184278, the project in front of Carolina Trace. Keeping that on the tally sheet. I've lived here 15 years, and I remember not that long ago when a semi went into the Lake Trace from some bad driving in that area. So I do support an improvement in that area. I don't think the members of my community, and I can only speak for myself, I don't think the members of my community would be thrilled with the design of a super street, though. You know, we do have a fair amount of population that works at Fort Bragg. They would like to turn left at that intersection. You know, the super street design, which is further down the highway, you know, at Spout Springs and at that Spring Lake Walmart, you know, you can only turn right. You gotta turn right, then you gotta do a U-turn, and then you can go south. No one else is probably gonna be here to speak about it tonight, but if this project ever does get greenlit and discussed a little bit more, I think that you would get a little bit more pushback from my residents. Over the years, there have been 2 projects that have improved the safety of that intersection. One was the opening of the back gates onto Cox Mill Road. That has relieved a lot of the traffic, you know, a lot of the older drivers that don't feel safe, you know, accelerating out of Traceway onto Highway 87. They just take the back gates onto Cox Mill Road. And some of the Cox Mill Road residents have had their own complaints about some of our drivers not quite getting up to speed in time, but it has, I think, helped reduce the accident statistics at the intersection quite a bit. And the other project that the state did that helped quite a bit was they just added those extra flashing lights to notify the drivers when they're approaching that there is a red light up ahead. So I don't know what the accident statistics are now, last couple of years since those projects have been really implemented. Totally agree that, a few years ago when this project was first put on the list and dreamed up, it was a very bad intersection. It's kind of hard to discuss a lot of these highway projects intelligently without knowing how I-685 may or may not affect traffic in our areas as well. I don't know if Mr. Gregory or
Mr. Montgomery?
Mr. Montgomery would be able to inform you or the public of any time frame on that route from the bypass down to I-95. There's been mostly articles talking that it was going to go down towards Lillington and then south. I do think there is some political pull that Cumberland County or Fayetteville is trying to, because I have seen maps at one point where it was going to go down Highway 87. And obviously if Interstate 685 is going to go down Highway 87, they're not going to put a super street there. So there's a lot of moving facts I know that have to be juggled. I appreciate this project having the visibility. I'd just like to inform you that we are trying to. The Community Care Line and Trace has been pushing more of their traffic onto the back road, Cox Mill Road, which a lot of us are hoping will be improved a little bit more in the future. And if the Super Street project ever gets rolling, I think that there might be a little bit more pushback against it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone for? Anyone opposed to the transportation plan? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. We do have to, yeah, my screen dropped off here. We do have to waive our policy on holding a vote after the public hearing on the same evening because of the timeliness of this being submitted to the Central Pines Rural Planning Organization. So do I have a motion to waive our policy?
So moved.
Have a motion to waive our policy on public hearings and taking a vote. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have to vote to consent to move the project list forward. Do I have a motion to do such?
So moved.
We have the motion to move the vote to consent to move the project's list forward. Any further discussion?
Can I just add that?
Please.
I know Commissioner Connect had mentioned about the tramway road into Jonesboro. Obviously, that's kind of secondary to this, but if we could make sure we get an update on when that would happen.
This is, and also to add to it, David, you were discussing the back entrances. We've also identified that Cox Mill Road needs to be considered for widening when we had our meeting a few weeks ago, simply because it's too narrow for the traffic volume. But
Just
yes.
wanted to add that, but motion to approve the list as presented.
We have the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on. We do not have any public comments. And under old business, we have the permission for Lee County Libraries to allow vendor to sell bottled, sealed mead at the 2025 annual PopCon event. And we have Ms. Beth List here. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, County Commissioners and Administration. The annual LCL PopCon event will be held at the main library on Saturday, August 16th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Over the last 7 years, this event has grown and we are now welcoming over 3,500 visitors to enjoy a day of creativity, connections, and discovery at the library. The event will take place at the main library and the First Presbyterian Church parking lot next door. Staff and volunteers run the event and the Lee County Sheriff will be present throughout the day. We have 52 local crafters, authors, artists, and vendors with us this year, along with 7 food vendors. And we have our sponsors, the Friends of the Library, Raven Forge Games, Sips and Sequels, Sanford Area Growth Alliance, Motif Blue, Craft 3D, and a promotional in-kind sponsorship from Visit Sanford Incorporated. On your agenda tonight is our yearly request to allow select vendors to sell sealed bottles of mead or cider during the event. We are bringing back the same request under the terms and conditions of the vendor agreement included in the agenda as created and approved by our legal department. I thank you for your time and consideration of our request, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do we have questions for Beth? Commissioner Sharp?
No questions.
Commissioner Reeves?
No question.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
I think you've made this request at least 3 years now.
At least 3, yes.
Any issues?
No.
Thank
none.
you.
Commissioner Levick?
No, thank you, Ben.
Commissioner Martin?
No, thanks.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the vendors to select sealed bottles of alcohol mead at the 2024 LCL PopCon event?
Motion approved.
We have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Do we have the number on the, did you get, can I show of hands of those who approve, please? Get that, Madam Clerk? Those opposed? We got it, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the historic courthouse repair change proposal. The Assistant Manager, Jennifer Gamble, would you please?
We have Development Services Director,
Oh.
Brandon Key, here to present.
Okay, that works.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. This item, as you stated, is the historic courthouse. We're in demolition there. And this request is approve additional scope of work for up to $156,116.92 to address repairs to the parapet wall along the roof. This is subject to the contractor working with staff and the architect to make final determination on the extent of repairs. The approval will allow the contractor to complete additional work and allow Lee County government to allocate current project funds to the contractor. The contractor, Harrod & Associates, has encountered deteriorated conditions along the parapet wall and need to be addressed in order to complete the installation of the roofing material. The architect and SHPO, the Historic Preservation Office, have worked up a minimum and maximum scope of repair from what we can see at this point. Proposed minimum includes removing 2 courses of exterior and interior brick material. The maximum is removing deteriorated courses and exterior and interior brick as required. Prepping existing services to receive new brick and mortar, relaying exterior and interior widths of parapet, removing plywood on the back of the parapet wall. Also includes temporary protection to existing wall as they continue the work on those areas. Replacement of damaged bricks and determination of the additional costs of general conditions are not included in this and will be determined if applicable. Additional general conditions costs will apply if work pushes past the original completion date. Approval of the work now will allow the contractor to start work and minimize impact to schedule. Completion of the roof insulation is dependent upon this repair. So as they're taking apart the roof, they've encountered deteriorated bricks. We do not have replacement bricks. So they have to take apart the existing bricks, clean them off, and reuse. And any bricks that need to be replaced, they'll use existing bricks today and put on the inside where it's not visible to the people outside. So that's the work that needs to be done. They can only remove so much at one time. They're working in 8-foot sections, and each section is slightly different. We have had a structural engineer to come and look at it, and this is his recommendation run through the architect for design. I will say this is not a request for additional money. This is a request to use money that's already approved, but it's coming before you because it is additional scope to the project we did not see before. If there's any questions.
Questions for Brandon? Commissioner Martin?
No questions.
Commissioner Levick?
None, thank you, Brandon.
Commissioner Connect?
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve. Continue on with questions.
I just have I guess a few questions. When did we start the repair?
When did we start this project?
Yeah, the project, sorry.
Construction started March 19th,
Okay, of this year.
correct.
Okay.
When did we start this when did we get awarded the grant?
I have to get back to you on that, but
I think that was
definitely have
prior to his time here, so it's been a
Yes.
long time in the works.
Okay, are we nearing an end? And I guess that was my second question was, when we started it, it was based on grant funding to begin with, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
And we did get an extension on the application of that grant funding, so we are good timeline-wise,
Okay.
still on that money.
okay,
You know, it's just a matter of the completion of the work, which, you know, we won't know as far as the addition of the work you have in your agenda, if that timeline will need to be extended. It's probably likely, but we're monitoring to keep it within the budgeted funds.
okay.
Their
All right.
contract time is September 15th. That's the completion date.
Of
So if
this
we-
year.
Correct.
Okay.
So if we push past that, then there's additional cost, if this new scope takes us to that.
Additional cost on us or additional cost within the scope of the grant?
Additional
funds?
costs that we'll have to carry for the contractor to be
Okay.
on site.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
I'm just interested in knowing if the Historic Council had to sign off on the brick.
Yes, if we have to find a replacement, yes. They've tried at least 2 samples, I think, and they were not approved.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
Not any questions as it pertains to what we just went over here, but I noticed on the dome, is it some kind of tarp? Is that keeping like water?
Yes.
Is that what that's for?
That's the temporary cover, and that's what'll go on the parapet, the brick walls, as they expose that and rebuild. Yes, that will be copper once it's finished. The dome will be.
Okay, good, thank you.
No further questions? We have a motion to approve?
Already did.
Yes, I do. We have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, new business, item 6A, approval of food truck policy.
Let me start?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll start this one. We've been working over the past couple of months on putting together a policy to bring forth to the board. We're doing this for various reasons, one being bringing on the athletic park, and second being that it seems that occasionally the county would need food trucks for like HR events. And so we are looking at trying to streamline the process and have a system in place that gives ample opportunities for vendors within the community to be able to submit for applications, to be able to then utilize our different facilities to set up food trucks. So the policy before you is really for county, non-sanctioned county events or programs. However, it will be heavily hit on the parks because that's where a lot of the locations will be locations will be available for food trucks to station. So I just sort of lay the groundwork as to what it is and here to answer questions after Parks presents.
Thank you, Whitney. So again, yes, the policy in front of you tonight is a policy the staff's been working on for several months. I have Miss Cindy Castle here. She's been an intricate part on our Parks and Rec staff putting this policy together. We put together an application, and within that application is the maps and locations of where the food trucks could set up. Currently, we're doing MOU agreements separately for each food truck, which can be very time-consuming when it comes to putting those together. Here, we're trying to just have a clean-cut process and trying to be equitable to all food trucks, giving them an opportunity to go through our application process, pay a $250 per calendar fee, and then that gets them a Lee County Parks and Rec approved food truck sticker that goes on their truck. They would then schedule through our Rec Desk software system that we will put out at 3 months at a time, where they can go in and schedule where they would like to set up. We're asking tonight if the board approves the food truck policy that we start this process now at a reduced fee of $125, and then starting in January, we would be back on our 12-month calendar process. here to answer any questions that you have, and if I
So
can't
is
answer
there a
it,
reason why we're
Cindy can.
charging, are we having to do something extra, like background checks or something, compared to a regular food truck?
There's stuff they have to sign saying that they are completing the background checks, but we do not do the background checks for them.
So what are the fees generating for? Just because you're providing the venue for them?
Yes. Mhm. Instead of getting 10% and going on an honor system, we're just getting that revenue up front.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Reeves?
How often, excuse me, I think you said you're gonna charge $125 for the first 6 months, and in January you'll start at, what, $250?
Yes, sir.
How often do you plan to revisit that cost?
It would go to the Parks Board every year through our fee schedule. And we typically discuss that in April of every year.
So the applicants are keenly aware that it may be adjusted annually?
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
I know you would mention that it goes to your board. How many current food trucks MOUs do you have now? Do you know?
Seven or eight probably. And most of those MOUs are done for food trucks that come out for our baseball leagues or flag football or tournaments. And in that agreement, we give them the sole right to be at that park for that season, and then we ask for a 10% contribution back.
Okay, and that's in the honor system's based on they're providing you
They're
what
not,
they think.
they're not giving us like monthly credit statements or anything like that.
Okay.
It is complete honor system.
When the pricing was, where did the pricing come from, I guess?
Pricing came from staff, and then we discussed this at a Parks Board meeting
Okay.
back in June, and they recommended this as well.
Based on like an average of what you typically net from?
Yeah, going back on our 10% contributions that we got over the last 4 to 5 years, 250 was a good average.
Okay, and the 10%, so on the MOU was like, for the whole year, it was 10% every time they were at the park?
Based on the MOU agreement, it could be an agreement for a season.
Okay,
It could be for the entire calendar year. It could be for just specific baseball tournaments or softball tournaments at Tramway Park.
Okay.
It really went off what the food truck was able to do for us.
okay. And then the reduced fee is basically because it's only effective July 1st.
Yeah.
It's retroactively.
And with the
half the year.
athletic part getting ready to get kicked up, we thought it was a good time to get this started.
Okay. I guess my only thing is I wonder if we've undershot the value of what we're potentially providing space for the food trucks.
That was one thing that Cindy did bring up at the Parks Board meeting.
Okay.
I think it was a consensus that we wanted to get it started, and as Mr. Reeves mentioned, something that needs to be revisited, just like our fees. at
Oh,
the
agree.
act-
Oh,
yeah.
agree. I just worry, did we undershoot possibly, and the next fee is raised, say, $300? Do you feel, I guess, is the comfort level is where we're at versus,
Well, you gotta make sure you have vendors that wanna come, and then, once they see the opportunity, then maybe when you have to raise the fees, they won't argue about it, right? At least they get a entryway in, get their foot wet, and, you know, I think they wanna see, well, we'll get some vendors out, they will see how well this does for them financially, and we'll know by that by how much they're trying to sign back up, and then you can, raise those fees accordingly, so you don't undershoot, right? And increase them as time goes on, depending on how many people you're bringing out to the parks that utilize their services, right?
And then, staff took it another step further and then reach out to some of our current food truck vendors and just went through what this policy would look like and the fee, and all the food trucks were in agreement with it.
oh, I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
Because you can undershoot
Yeah, I'm sure they were. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
Very fair rates. Very fair.
Yeah.
Are you looking to have just one particular type food truck, or is that something where maybe one serves food and another specialty as far as?
Yeah, so if Colin, if you could go to the athletic park, that's where we see the most use at. We've actually identified 4 different spots there. So as the food trucks go through our application process, we would try to have a variety of food trucks at the athletic park. So, one may be ice cream, one may be hot dogs, one may be pizza.
Very good,
like that.
yeah. Always good to have variety, and then that everybody gets a chance instead of one main truck there or something. So, very good, but very fair rates. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
The good thing about going last is all the questions are answered by the time we get here, right? The only other question that I have is do I understand you correctly that you will revisit this in the beginning of the next fiscal year? Is that?
Yeah, we'll go over our fee schedule in April at the Parks Board meeting. Of course, this will be in our fee schedule. We probably wouldn't be heavily discussed until the following April, once we've gone through this process for a full year.
Thank you.
I've got another question.
Yes, sir.
Would you or the counselor explain the insurance liability piece regarding the food trucks?
Yeah, so they have to have liability insurance, and then they'll name, I think it's $1 million.
It's $1 million per occurrence.
Yes, thank you. And they'll name the county as additional insured. And then we also put language in there that says that when they sign up, when we go through the application period, they will have to provide us their environmental health permit. And then if for some reason during that year, we only do that once a year, but if for some reason in that year it gets revoked or changes, the onus on the food truck vendor to notify staff. So we do have that language in there as well.
And you have a no bootlegging policy?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, on the application, there would be the environmental health permit number, the types of food being sold. Of course, if there's any items, merchandise being sold that's not allowed in our parks, that would get the application thrown out at that point.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the food truck vendor
So moved.
policy for the county? We have a motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Lee County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council fiscal year 2025-26 annual plan and certification.
I'm actually going to pass this on to the Lee County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council Chair, Nicholas Roner, but I'll be here for extra questions.
Good evening, Commissioners. First, just as an introduction of who I am, I'm a lawyer. I practice out at Post Fushi Gordon here in Sanford. I fill the role of a juvenile attorney on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, and recently the council decided to make me the chairperson. So I have the responsibility of being here tonight and talking with all of you and hopefully fielding easy questions. The Lee County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, in fulfillment of its duties and responsibilities that are set forth in the general statutes, has completed its activities as required by legislative mandate to develop this annual county plan for fiscal year 25 and 26. The Lee County JCPC has identified issues and factors which have an influence and impact upon delinquent youth, at-risk youth, and their families in Lee County. Further, the JCPC has identified the strategies and services most likely to reduce or prevent delinquent behavior. While it is difficult to attribute directly the reduction in juvenile crime to the work of JCPC, the progress and accomplishments of the council plays an important role in planning and developing local strategies to prevent and address juvenile delinquency at the county level. The Lee County JCPC, in partnership with the Department of Public Safety, local government, community agencies, service providers, and other stakeholders, work together to coordinate goals, resources, and priorities for prevention and intervention of juvenile delinquency and at-risk youth. The Lee County JCPC studied the risk factors and needs of justice-involved youth in Lee County and determined the following services were needed to reduce or prevent delinquency in Lee County. Those are mentoring services, parent and family skill building, interpersonal skill building, vocational skills, experiential skills, tutoring and academic enhancement, mediation and conflict resolution, restitution and community service, a teen court program, and a juvenile structured day program. Having published a request for proposals, identifying prioritized service needs, and that request for proposal being circulated for at least 30 days, the JCPC screened the submitted proposals and determined which proposals best met the advertised needed services. As required by statute, the JCPC recommends allocation of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety funds to the following programs in the amount specified in the fiscal year 2025-2026 funding plan. And those are, and the fund, just so you know, the funds that come from DPS, it's like a grant. So it's not money that the county is putting out. This is money coming down from the state. So for JCPC administration, we allocated $5,084. For the teen court program that's run by Scots for Youth, we've allocated $107,000. For Project Challenge, which is run by Project Challenge of North Carolina, Inc., we've allocated $93,000. We also had a submission from High School Seminar, which is handled by Lee County Schools at Bragg Street Academy, and the council decided not to fund that program. This funding plan was voted on and approved on May 28th, 2025 by the council. Following that meeting, Dr. Shannon Shuey from Lee County Public Schools at Bragg Street submitted a request for an appeal, which I believe was also sent to the commissioners. Per our bylaws, per the JCPC bylaws, the funding committee convened on June 13th, 2025 to review the appeal and make recommendations to the council. In the funding committee's review, they evaluated whether any violations of statute, policy, or procedure occurred during either the funding recommendation process or the adoption of the recommendation by the council. The funding committee determined that no such violations occurred. Additionally, the funding committee reviewed their initial funding recommendation and decided to uphold their original funding recommendation. Following that meeting, the council convened at a regularly scheduled meeting on June 18th, 2025, to hear the report from the funding committee, to discuss as a council whether any violation of statute, policy, or procedure occurred, and decide on what action, if any, the council would take on the appeal. After hearing the report from the funding committee, discussion among members, and acknowledgement of the statutes, policies, and procedures to include our bylaws, the council voted to take no action on the appeal and uphold the original funding decision as adopted on May 28th, 2025. I'm here before the commissioners tonight to request that after having reviewed the appeal, you take a vote to uphold or overturn the JCPC's funding decision. Additionally, if the commissioners vote to uphold our funding decision, we ask that you move to approve the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual plan and certification, and that you authorize the chairman to sign all documents as required by North Carolina Department of Public Safety. And I'll hopefully answer easy questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioners, questions for Nicholas Roner? Start with Commissioner Martin.
Thank you for your work on the council and for taking over that chairman position. After reading the letter from Dr. Shuey, I have some thoughts and questions. Firstly, my understanding is the average cost in North Carolina to run teen court is about $32,000. And then I'm looking at what we're allocating for court here, and I think we have
107,000.
I'm curious as to the disparity in that. Can you address that at all? Or, and really, if you can't, totally fine, but
I am but a lowly attorney, and I have an accountant that handles money matters.
Yeah.
No, from what I understand, basically, I don't know how the average number was generated.
Yeah.
But my understanding from the teen court budget, as I've seen, it seems like there's a good bit of money that's allocated towards staff positions that are paid positions. I'm assuming that that's, part of the increase. How much of it, I couldn't quote off the top of my head how much of it goes directly to youth and how much of it goes to staff. I will say that it is necessary for some staff to exist to run a program. I'll also say that, for example, I volunteer my time for teen court. I go there to be a judge. I go there to help the student attorneys, so I don't get paid for that, but some people do. So I think that's maybe, does that answer your question?
I appreciate that. And again, I want to thank you for your volunteerism here in Lee County for that. I know that the high school seminar, 100% of the high school seminar funds go to the program and the students directly, and none of that is used for administrative costs. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to make a motion to overturn the decision of the council and ask the council to revisit that budget and allocate funding to all three parties to include Bragg Street Academy. And then along with that, I'd like to have a 1 year on that contract rather than 2. So that would be my motion on that.
I'd like to have a 1 year cycle too. That predated me.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
So as to understand, you've made a motion to overturn the decision of the JCPC and to request the council revisit the budget to include all three parties, to include Bragg Street Academy,
Correct.
and to create a 1 year cycle.
Correct.
You've heard the motion. Continue on with questions for Mr. Roner. Commissioner Lovick.
No questions, but thank you for what you do for the council.
Commissioner Connect.
Is there a reason for the 1 year instead of a 2 year? I'm not arguing, I think there was a reason, wasn't there?
Well, I think we can put out an RFP and see if, so my understanding is these programs are being run outside of Lee County, right? They're coming maybe from other counties, they're being run. So my thought is if we can have another RFP out before the 2 year period, there may be others who are interested.
Yeah, to answer the question that was in there, Scots for Youth comes from Scotland County. They've been running teen court here in Lee County for a number of years. I couldn't tell you exactly how long. Project Challenge is a organization that exists, I think, throughout North Carolina. I believe they have an office here. I don't know if that counts them as a Lee County program or not. But they're all third-party, nonprofit type programs.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck.
I think you guys have covered those questions. I think the only other question that was brought up in Dr. Shuey's email was the lack of access to office space. So I guess, has that been clarified? Has there been a resolution that's come to that?
So just by way of background, because I don't know how much the commissioners know, Project Challenge and Teen Court were housed in the Juvenile Justice Center that's on Woodland Ave. Recently, that space was determined to be needed by DJJ, so they were given a notice, find a new place to go. My understanding is that Teen Court and Project Challenge have both found a new home. I believe they're separate, though. And, of course, paying any amount in rent per month is more than paying nothing.
100%.
Yeah. So that's also, part of the problem with allocating the funds. This is the first year that that's the case, that these two programs will have to cover their rent expense also. So that just ate up some of our funding.
Do you know exactly how much that might have eaten up?
Do you remember the rent? It's $1,200 per month.
Okay.
How it's split between the two, I'm not sure.
Oh, that's fine. And then DJJ, it's not a really bad, DJ name, I'm assuming. It's Department of...
Juvenile Justice.
There we go.
They are a branch of DPS, and they handle juvenile delinquency.
Okay. So they came in, said that they needed the space. Are they paying rent?
No, DJ, they do not pay rent. It's the state. By statute, we have to provide the space.
Okay. Okay.
Can I piggyback off of your question on?
Sure.
On rent? Is there a signed lease now for the space that you're using? Do you know? I mean, I don't know.
Is there a signed lease now between Teen Court and Project Challenge?
And the space that is presently rented?
I assume so.
And I'm going to take from the assumption that we're not really sure what the term of that lease is that correct?
I don't know what the length of the lease is, I just, know the reported per month amount.
Understood, thank you.
Okay, I think that was it, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
I don't have a question for him, but I do support the motion on the floor.
Thank you. Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, same here.
Okay. We have the motion. No further questions, discussion? Motion is to overturn the decision of the JCPC and request the council revisit the budget to include all three parties, to include Bragg Street Academy, and the budget will be on a one-year cycle. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a question for the attorney. Do we have a timeline that we need to revisit this?
I may have to defer that to Joe.
Joanna?
So technically, we are past the deadline date of June 30th on this. The appeal process had to go through enough motions that it took us past that date. So the next option would be, if possible, to get on the August 4th special meeting. We could, if not, then I think the 18th is the next regular Board of
We can add
Commissioners
that
meeting.
on the August 4th of the,
Okay.
Is that
We
enough
can,
time?
we can do the same thing as the state legislature, and their budget is passed 1 July. We should get an exception to policy on that?
be fine.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is manager's reports.
Got Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry, we got to do monthly financial reports first. I'm sorry. I have a new assistant manager here.
It's the most exciting report.
Yes.
Hello, Board, Board of Commissioners and staff. I'm here to present two of the reports that you should have received in your agenda packet. The first one being the preliminary monthly financial report for June, and I say preliminary because we still have revenues and expenditures that are being booked back to FY25. Okay. Two great things coming out of this is that none of the departments are over budget, so woohoo. And we are at 103.01% of our ad valorem budget, okay? The second report is the sales tax distribution report. And this is for April, so I want to make it very clear that this is 3 months behind. I'm sure you guys are very well versed in that. We are at 2.45% above last year at this time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Jen? Commissioner Sharp?
I don't have any.
Commissioner Reeves?
None.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
I guess my only thing is just, I'm trying to understand a number. So it's 103%.
Yes, ma'am.
Which
These
is
are
over
estimated.
100.
These are estimated revenues
Got it.
for the budget.
Okay. Because that would make it sound like we were over budget somewhere, right? Am I following that line of thinking, or am I backwards?
So again, we are trying to estimate what we're going to get in ad valorem taxes, and it just shows that they are above what we anticipated.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
It's always good.
Yeah.
I just,
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner
Good.
Lovick?
I'm good, thank you, Gene.
Commissioner Martin?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
No problem.
Very nice report. Look forward to many more. Okay, now the assistant manager. She gets to read all those notes. Oh, gosh.
All right. Construction is wrapping up at the Lee County Athletic Park. We're currently working through punch list items. Field construction is complete. The DOT will be coming through with the widening project, and at that time, they'll complete the final signal work at the entrance and do the utility tie-in. we're estimating that to take place starting in a few months, but that final timeline is kind of contingent on DOT. So, but in the interim, we can still open the athletic park on time. We've got the final paving done. There's a few change orders here that we've addressed in the interim on the access bollards and the handicap, both addressing safety concerns and adding some additional sod to areas that had some erosion. The library project continues with the building construction. We anticipate the building being weather tight by the beginning of September. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work is underway. You heard earlier an update regarding the historic courthouse work and where we are at. We wanted to bring the board a quick update on the EMS solicitation process. The current contract ends on June 30th, 2026. So we have went ahead and put out an advertisement for it. We've gotten 2 applications for the franchise, one from the incumbent First Health and one from a new applicant, Medix. Those 2 applications are being reviewed by the EMS Advisory Committee. Both vendors came and presented to the committee, and we anticipate a recommendation will be made to the Board of Commissioners within the next couple of months to continue that process. There are a number of reports that are attached to your agenda. We've also included the Board of Commissioner meeting schedule through the end of October. I think it's important to note that we have the grand opening for the athletic park scheduled on September 13th, beginning at 2 o'clock. We will put out additional advertisements related to that event as it becomes available. Also, the next Board of Commissioners meeting will be a work session to be held at the McSwain Center on August 4th, and we'll post additional information about that hopefully by the end of the week. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Jennifer? Commissioner Martin?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions, but very good job on your report.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
Yes, I just have one question on the Medix. Where is that coming out of?
Hosky?
Yes,
I
that's what
believe
I said,
is
they're
what
based in Western North Carolina.
And those are the only 2 right now that will be,
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll bring additional details. The board will have an opportunity to review both proposals in detail as well. So you'll see additional background information when the time comes.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
What time is that August 4th meeting?
It'll begin at 6 o'clock at the McSwain Center.
Boo. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp, questions? Okay, seeing there are no questions, Commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Sharp.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just want to mention what happened a couple of Mondays ago, the plane crash out on Riddle Road in Lower Moncure, the tragic deaths of the Buchanan family and the Cameron families as well. The accident affected my family, and I just want to continue to keep those 2 families in our prayers. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Reeves?
A couple of things. One, I think the JCPC motion was a very good motion, very good find, and thank you. Secondly, I'm not sure that the public is paying a lot of attention to all the different changes that are taking place in the federal and state levels. Those things that were once being provided monetarily by the federal or state, when those budgets are slashed, it comes down the ladder. It doesn't go up, it comes down. And local governments are going to be asked to figure out whether you want to support or not support these different programs. And we, members of this board, should be receiving as much information as soon as possible as it relates to any financial reductions. I would rather know in advance, when possible, than to wait till it already hits us. So I'm asking staff if you will continue to pay close attention to the cuts, whether they're federal or state, and in what areas, and give us a report as soon as possible, when you can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Borbeck.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Connect.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick.
My comments tonight have something to do, along with Commissioner Sharp's, about prayers. A little bit sentimental tonight, because 1 year ago, I got the awful news of a brain tumor, but through prayers. If each one of you have said a prayer for me, sent a card, done anything, thank you so much for that. And I hope it just shows to what prayer does and what folks believing in Him, what God can still do. But thank you to each one of you that's sitting here tonight and ones listening and seeing on TV. Thank you so much for that, and keep continuing believing in prayers and believing in our God. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Martin.
Recognizing with all of us the loss of the Buchanan family and impact on the community, you know, I've been thinking about remembering the kids who are going back to school, right, who will also be experiencing a loss. And so keeping teachers and advisors and those kids and families in our thoughts and prayers as the beginning of the school year comes around. And then, you know, just thinking about what Commissioner Reeves said about changes in funding and responsibilities, where they're going to fall. I just want to, again, thank Attorney Rohner for your volunteerism in such an important program, and, you know, and may Lee County residents be aware of needs and begin to volunteer for service to our community. So, thank you.
I would like to echo the same sentiment in regards to the Buchanan family. Both my wife and I did frequent their business as well. It was a great loss to our county, to our agricultural community, as well as to the cooperative extension. As far as the issues dealing with the projections of money cuts from both the state and the federal government, I know the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners send out alerts as soon as those issues come forward. I do know that I've interacted with Angelina Knoll, and she's been focused on letting us know, keeping those items that are specifically in the social services realm. So again, it's just a matter of keeping your eyes open and ears open and paying attention and understanding that we will probably have some effects of all of these actions in the future. Without further ado, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are now adjourned. Please drive safely, wear your seatbelts, and no speeding. Thank you.